humanity. Welcome back to Eden Zero Anime Review, episode number 47. Yeah, we're just a few episodes away from the finale. This one's called Ocean 6. This episode adapts from chapters 129 to 131. And we're just about done with they're just about done with the forest arc. Yeah, we're in the aftermath of the story because the main portion story is done. Yeah, we're in the aftermath, and we're just basically. I'm surprised they consider this part of the forest arc, even though this doesn't feel like part of it. It seems more like a separate side story. Well, not a side story, more like an aftermath. I don't know why they couldn't call this forest aftermath, because that's literally what these chapters are. Forest aftermath. It's literally just about 5 chapters, and we want to do it right to the very next arc. Which, the way it looks right now, it looks like they're going to start adapting the arc with the very next episode. I'm a little surprised about that they decided to do that, but okay. So, the episode has this really cool opening scene of Chikokoro with Muskoi, where they're in the kitchen, of course, eating the food. Muskoi is so fun. Yep. And we see the little girl who popped up last episode, who the gang rescued from forest destruction. And of course, well, her robot, Millie-chan, basically being killed by one of Nero's subordinates, one of his commandos. And of course, you have Witch basically comforting her by telling her about the death of Valkyrie. Doesn't say her name, but yeah, she's talking about Valkyrie, the fact they lost a friend of theirs, too, and the fact that she basically, in a way, is kind of treated like she's kind of like a daughter to her, presumably, anyways. I mean, it's not denying the fact that Witch is a beautiful female android. Yep. Got a pretty face. They commented last season's show, and I think Rebecca was the first person was like, hey guys, doesn't Witch have a beautiful face? And like, yep. Well, and she blushed because they've never seen without her mask on. Here she does it again. And this is the second time this season she actually take off her mask, which is something she never really does. It's more like a helmet per se. It's a really cool scene there. And we also see the whole wrap up with Colleen, where the whole thing she's been mostly been depressed since she made her debut this season. And they officially Sister basically kind of, let's just say, just erasing portion, remember, with Muller. Before this, we have Whis telling Colleen's brother, I think his name is John, if I'm not mistaken. Jin. Yeah, telling Jin that that he met Mahler and he basically smashed the pieces, was making him happy. And of course, Clean being back to normal, and she keeps the hairpiece on because they're cute. Excuse me, despite the fact they were there mostly put to suppress her emotions because it was very traumatizing if she suppressed her emotions at all. Which, in a way, this has basically been a recurring plot thread for a little while in the Eden Zero series. You know, Jin trying to help his sister, which is quite nice of him to do. And of course, basically, he's like obsessed. He's like basically like, well, he'll listen to his sister no matter what. Yeah. So pretty much, basically, like right after this, basically, where he explained the whole thing with Zeni, the one who basically Shiki brought on board because Forest is being destroyed. So he explains that he's, Ziggy's mentor, and the fact that we even see we'll get to Nero stuff soon, so basically he's there to train him. And the fact that Ziggy wanted to kill him because he wanted to meet between Shiki and this guy. Herman is leaving first, and he basically explains, yep, it's definitely him. And of course they go to the VR thing, and of course the episode ends with appearance by Ziggy. Meanwhile, though, we also see Ursa Crimson in this episode, where she's bandaged up. And by the way, she's sitting in her chair. This time she's covered in bandages. She's clearly butt naked in her chair, and her crew have no problem with the fact she's butt naked. Yeah. Oh, by the way, her nickname is Princess because basically she used to be a princess in the manga. So we also see Justice bandaged up too, where Here's the thing: they go through everybody who is part of the crew, and they don't go to Hamor for some reason. I mean, the thing is, Hamor just like basically her mom, Madame Kunai. They're both very beautiful women. Despite Kunai is clearly older, but she's not like an extremely old lady. She's very beautiful. I'd say she was probably in her 40s, I'd say. Yeah, I think so. Though she killed her husband. Yeah, she did. So, pretty much basically we see the debut of Nero in the series, who is basically like an octopus. He reminds me of Captain Davy from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, he's like the spitting image of him. Yeah, for some reason, I'm not sure why. Hiramashima set up a character from Pirates of the Caribbean for this character. Like, this is not a redesign one of his. Oh no, this is basically, like, you see this guy, he looks exactly like Captain Davy from Pirates of the Caribbean, who appeared in Dead Man's Chest and World's End. Except that they made him a little bit older, and the fact he's got, like, different colors on, but design-wise, it's literally the same character. Now, they do explain a flashback with him and his son. Of course, Zig is there too. Apparently, Shur, who is Nero's son, he's actually adopted. Yep, he's adopted because apparently Nero's ether is bent upon his dice. So, what the exact judgment is from Ziggy? Of course, they have to go after Ziggy to stop him. Don't know what his plan is. And of course, Nero's army is going to be on the way to stop Nero. So basically, we're like in a multi-way comp. We have Ziggy, we have Nero, we have the Anstar army, and the crew of Eden Zero. Basically, well, if you're curious though, Eden Zero thinks of the Anstar army to take on Nero, but it's nothing to do with Ziggy. We'll get to that later on. So, we're introduced here to the Ocean Six, which one of the characters looks like, I mean, similar appearance to the narrator we've seen in a while, but it's not her. It's a similar design. But the character herself, height-wise and appearance, reminds me a lot of the woman who was the daughter of the previous headmaster of the Sabretooth Guild. Yeah, like literally the same exact design. Because Hiramashima basically has been consecutive for this series, where a lot of the characters are just redesigned characters from Fairy Tail, though he also is from Raymaster. But here's the thing. Hiramashima is not the only person who has done this. If you want to think of some others, here's an example. Clamp does all the freaking time, and no one accuses him of it. The creative Inuyasha does the same exact thing. I can list several examples, like the fact that Sango is a redesign of a character from Ranma 1/2. One of Ranma's 3 fiancés he has in the series, like literally the same exact redesign. The rich girl appears in that series, the one who's also the main character, he thinks is Luzul. Yeah, she was basically used for Yuria of the Demon Hair. From what I could tell, the female leads of the series generally tend to be the same exact design because Kagome's design was used for a character for Rennie. Yes, because this is a freaking character she likes using. Inuyasha himself, well, he is not redesigned. He's a complete original character. But I'm getting sidetracked here. But so the characters we have make a debut in this episode for the Ocean Six. Well, we have, aside from Poseidon here, we have Injin, who basically is a woman. Who's Sarah's secretary. Fabino, who's a muscle guy, who reminds me a lot of a little bit of Rebecca from Lucy's Fire from Fairy Tail. Kind of a little bit. There's also Lyra. And you might be asking, is she like a redesign of a character from Fairy Tail? No, not really. Mostly put Lyra. It's like basically like this character was used by Whis as a character, and then basically like they just used it here for some reason. There's Clem Seaford. Yeah, and he is not a redesign of a character from this series. The mostly putty, I'm looking at his face, he looks a lot like Shikamaru from Naruto. Yeah, I have no idea why. He just had the same face. Hair's different, but most both same similar character. Yeah, so there is Marion Lurker, one who looks like the daughter from the leader of Sabretooth. There is uh, Sakaya, who is a preacher who gets killed off in this episode. How? Shira basically breaks his head. Yeah. As for why he gets cut off here, I don't really know why. He just is, per se. Mm-hmm. In the manga, he's only there for 2 chapters and he's done. Yeah. But that's the Ocean Six for you. They make debut in this episode. Now, Holy, at this point, we have not fully seen exactly who she is just yet, per se, but I can definitely tell. But look at her; she's a very beautiful woman. So look like she has like a mark on her neck, drawn by a racer and Jaguar, which they might basically show him exactly what the heck he looks like soon. Though he looks a lot like, from appearance wise, he looks a lot like Gray. Yeah, that's what he looks like. What about Jaguar? Jaguar, completely original design, though he basically looked like he's based on an American character. Though the reason why he's called Jaguar because of the spots on his temple. So yeah, still a pretty good episode. Plus, I love the design of the table they have here, which reminds me the table they use here for this scene reminds me a lot of not the Avatar arc, basically the from the final arc from Fairy Tail, where that country, where it's Ziggy's country. Not Ziggy, it's what was his name? The main villain from Fairy Tail. Where, let's see if I can find him here. Zareth, yes. Sabretooth, the one who, well, I think she looks like. Okay. Oh, here we go. Minerva. Yep, she looks exactly like Minerva. Yeah, that's who she reminds me of. I mean, well, basically, bring up basically if I can look at her because like when I saw her in the anime, like, oh, she looks exactly like Minerva from. I can't remember her name, but yeah, she looks like. Yeah, I'd say very similar design. Though it could be anybody, but yeah, it reminds me a lot of Minerva. Not much else to say when it comes to episode. It's good, but it is quite obvious we're using a redesign for one character and a real life one, basically that Waze used a couple times. Yeah, I thought this is kind of weird, but I'm sure when Whis meets her, like, wait, you look familiar. Did I use it as an avatar? And she's like, what? Use me as an avatar? Yeah, that's the thing with this woman. But yeah, not much to say about this episode, but it's really good. So yeah, that's a particular view. Next up is going to be, well, actually I don't have more time doing my videos tonight, so I'll probably talk about this stuff tomorrow. Yep. So yeah. So tomorrow will basically be hopefully wrapping up Kamen Rider Black. Well, basically my break, and hopefully get a chance to work on some other stuff. Okay. Next view tomorrow. Bye.